Here, this is kind of a view from an admin perspective, where we go in and help define those data standards are different by teams, by channel, by use cases. When this gets deployed at an enterprise, it's someone's only going to see a specific template, which has the business logic, the rules around the standards, and their data management needs. And so as we think about that kind of new content creation, really providing a single simplified view for the business owners or the people in the organization that are requesting new content to come in and fill out the information that would mirror the fields and things that are in AEM, provide that, what's required, what's not required. And so everything gets structured and standardized up front. And so we can ultimately customize these requirements based on each customer's business needs. And here you can see a variety of different user experiences that get into, simple drop downs, quickly showing what fields need to be validated. So everything needs to be completely filled out, adhere to the rules, tagged appropriately, and you can still have optional fields, but ultimately getting data structured properly before it gets to the content authoring team. As we think about kind of the direct AEM integration, this is an example of a template that imports from the We Retail demo big Adobe company, being able to pull in those assets. You see fields that pull in path, title, tags, and obviously for any given customer, these fields would be representative of the fields that they want to pull in to be managed and governed within Claravine. And so by doing this, you can quickly see across an entire data set where there's assets in this case that don't meet the governance criteria, that don't match the standards. And then if there's changes that need to be made, rather than going into each individual item, teams can manage their own data. I mentioned that kind of data owner managing their data, and see here going through and updating based on quick feedback that less than 50 characters, obviously a required field. They can go in here, update the title field for these assets. Type these in here. And then you can see here, once everything's been properly filled out, it opens up the opportunity in this case to save this information, which can push, can be configured to push these updates back to AEM, or in some cases, there's data that we will manage that may not necessarily live in AEM. So here's another example, more from a sites perspective. So we create templates more, again, on use cases and data types. This is pulling in some of the tag information. Again, we're going to take a look at editing a few rows here, or a few site pages. And again, you'll see a very similar kind of user experience where there's a selection or subset of the tags that exist within the overall tagging structure within AEM. But really kind of, whether it be a drop-down type, more of a traditional taxonomy view, or drop-downs that can auto-populate information. So again, our goal with creating data standards up front is to minimize user error, but still give people control and choice over what they select and what they tag. So kind of moving on from the 4 different ways we talked about accelerating content velocity here. This is more that media operations example, where this would be the media operations team is going through and building out, configuring campaigns, kind of where the attribution tracking connection happens. So, if we were to bring in AEM assets and incorporate that into the workflow, or even creative teams using their own template, we can auto-populate dimensions from those AEM assets and pull those in as part of that process. And so you can see here they were different dimensions that were from the DAM were pulled in as part of that workflow. And then once we get that in a fully defined data set, we can then control where that goes into the different dashboards, measurement, analytic systems. So here, a little bit kind of probably wondering how this gets set up. Everything we've seen so far has been kind of the end user and what they manage from data. But this is really the admin view, where you go in and can define what field someone sees within a given template. Here's some just kind of quick overviews of the different rules and standards and validation that can be put in place, from removing spaces, transforming data, the taxonomies and things we'll show here in a second. But this is that admin view that can control, where are we importing data? Where's data going? In this case, there's data coming in from assets, and we have a lot of customers who want to even bring data in, manage it, and then push it to their analytics solution. So it's not always the case that people want to push and make updates back in AEM. We can still bring this in for other use cases. And here, kind of jumping into where some of the pick list taxonomies that we were going through in the different drop-down scenarios. We'll look at content category as one example where I was looking at a drop-down. And this is that structure where it can be managed across different templates. So again, we're not thinking about this as just an AEM problem, but a much larger enterprise data problem that creates alignment across your AEM teams, your marketing teams, your business teams, your data teams. So if there is an update to that taxonomy, it can be made in one place. And then we've talked a lot about naming conventions and how those are managed as well. Everything from naming conventions to tracking codes. And you see here, there's, being able to centrally control, everything from delimiters to what goes into a naming convention. Again, this is something that can be built once, shared across templates, and when there are changes, we're not going out and updating a variety of different Excel spreadsheets, but rather making a change in one place and then having that change be instantly available.